Alright folks, back at this thing again, and here's where we're at. We stuck this valve back in because we're trying to make sure everything's freed up right and get the timing right on the exhaust, because there was no marks on it. As you can see, it's moving good. No issues there. We got everything going there. We got our valve nice and free, so that's good. We've got these, we got all the holes hung. Vic's done most of that and cleaned up. A little dirt laying in them, got to get out, but working on that. We're going to build a piece that goes around the top with the angle like the other one is, to hide them rough cuts, because I've come to the conclusion that we're not taking that off. We are going to take these bolts out and replace them because the heads are so rusty. But anyway, started cleaning the cylinder up a little bit. Vic's still working on these valve pieces, getting them all unstuck and everything. And of course, everything's always a mystery, so this is the new mystery. We don't think this is a Hamilton Corliss. We don't know what kind of Corliss it is, and can't seem to find pictures of it. It don't match up to a Hamilton, the size or anything else. You know, they list the size of what they sold, and a 14-inch bore. They didn't make a 13. This one's 13, but I think, like I said, it's been sleeved, so I think it was 14 originally. And then, of course, this rocker right here is different from any pictures of any Hamilton I've found. The only Hamilton that looks close to this one on this this wrist plate is the one in Denton, but it's solid. It's not, there's not, you know, don't have the V's in the center opening. And we've looked through a lot of photos and historical, you know, photos on websites and stuff, and have not found anything that looked like this one. So we are not 100% sure on the make of it, which don't really matter. And there's another thing that throws it off too. I'll show you. Okay, so we got these 3 holes, and it's in the front side. And I'm not quite sure what other brand had these holes in them, but they are original holes that were cast into it when it was made. So have no clue about them. Now, I did find out something good. You know, this arm is missing. We've got both rods. So we got the rod that goes to the eccentric, and then we got the rod that goes to the valve gear. But we don't know the height of the holes. So there's going to be one hole there, and then one for one rod, and then one above it for the other rod. Well, we got lucky because this wrist plate, believe it or not, has got marks for the timing. Okay, so this is the mark for the timing on top dead center, and then it's got a mark here and a mark here that shows you how far. So that would have been the extreme coming this way, and then the extreme coming back this way would have been right, well, almost there, right about there. So that tells me we know how far it needs to move, so I can make that arm without a problem if we don't find it this weekend. So, all right, so Vic's going to keep working on this, and I'm going to go on vacation. Hear that, Vic?
You've been on vacation.
Oh, I have been on vacation? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to stay here.
You'll be coming back today.
I'll stay here and work then. All right. All right, folks, we're rolling on. Actually got it, Vic's got the cylinder pretty clean in there, oiled up, and all the valves are hooked up. Fixed the linkage on this one, got all that done. Everything's free. I think it's all in time. Everything's good to go. And we're going to pull it back off and, you know, do some other stuff and build that covering. We're just trying to get all our ducks in a row on this, and, you know, the engine that we're not even supposed to be working on, but you know how that goes. So brought this side over. We're getting ready to bolt it together because I've got enough machine to move it all at once, so we don't need to worry about weight. So we're going to clean this out here real quick and go ahead and put a gasket on and get this thing sealed, this part permanent. That's the only part we're going to do permanently, and for now. So we're working. All right folks, moved it over here out of the way. Got it bolted together and pretty much permanent. We put a gasket in between on the lower cylinder head, or the back cylinder head, whatever you want to call it. So I got parts to make luckily I finally found a picture of what this was. This is a Hamilton, like I thought from the beginning, or what it was sold to me for as, but it's a Series B Hamilton, which is different from a Series A Hamilton. And the difference is this is a lighter weight engine with an I-beam construction frame instead of a, it's more rigid boxed in frame. And it's, we know of two of these for sure, this one and the one at Denton. The one at Denton's a little smaller, and it has a different, it's the same shape, but it's closed in on the wrist plate is the difference between it. But it's pretty much, besides that, the same engine. But I think it's a smaller flywheel, and it's only 34-inch stroke instead of 36. And it's 14-inch bore, and this one used to be, I think, 14-inch bore, but it's 13 now. So anyway, so Sunday we go back over to look for parts, and if I can find this outboard block bearing, this piece, which I know it was there because it's in the pictures, and the other dash pot. Them three things would be nice. The other thing, governor. It was there, and the reason I think it was there is this is actually a weight for the governor. So this hung on it, and there's the two governor rods that come, one short one from here and one long one from here. And I just lied to you. One long one from here, one short one from here. There you go. And that's what unlatches. You can see. This is a latching Corliss, so this actually latches to here, so when it unlatches, it lets this go free from here. So, not as complicated a setup as what you would think, but I think we're going to probably have a little clicking in this thing. Unlike the baits, it's really quiet. But anyway, so Sunday we'll know parts wise, and we are going to do some changing around here and have a place where we can set this one and that Erie engine up. And right now we're working on a few other things. We're cleaning up because we're gonna fire the baits up tomorrow, which is Saturday, and we're gonna try to run it for a while. We're actually working on the packings on the valves, and then we're gonna run it. Probably the last time we run it before we, take and pressure wash and try to get some paint on it, get it cleaned up, and make it look, presentable. So, all right. It sure is mighty smoky and windy over there. So we just started firing this thing up. I just got back off of a wreck, and Saturday morning. So we're going to test one more time, and we've done some packing work and stuff, and this will probably be the last time we test before we start cleaning up and getting ready to paint. We actually done we've done a little cleaning, but not a lot, but trying to get things cleaned off. So we'll see what happens. All right, about 40 pounds. I wanted to put a little bit of water in it, and I put my treatment in there. Put a quart of treatment in this barrel every once in a while, water treatment. So we got that in, and we are we're going to go ahead and let it fill or suck that down before we put any water back in it. That way we know we get all that treatment in there. So we'll be running here shortly. All right, so Vic and I have officially got everything put back together. Not permanent, pretty temporary. Well, like I said, except for that. Okay, so I think it's evident now that we're not going to find or get any of the parts that was missing for this. And not because they got buried with a bulldozer, but I think we've come to the conclusion that they was hauled off for scrap to Leon and metal. And once they're gone, they're gone. So there's nothing we can do about it. So what this makes for me, because we're going to still save the engine, it don't matter. This is what I'm going to have to do. So this arm that comes off of here, and I'm going to show it to you on the other engine, we're going to have to build. And looking at the picture, and I have both arms, the one that goes to the valve or the wrist plate, and then the one that comes back to where it comes back to the arm, and then it goes from here to the eccentric. Now they both look level, and when I say level, I mean level with the engine, because this one's higher, and of course the second one's lower because it's on the crankshaft. So we're going to have to build that bar. The The other good thing is the way this is set up, it has your swing on it of how far. So that will double check to make sure that we have everything right. We've got all the valves loose. Everything's taken care of except, you know, making a few parts. We got a wedge to make here. And of course the governor's missing, but we're not going to worry about it right now. We're going to go ahead and one dash pot, we'll go ahead and get it, see if we can get things running and working. Let me see, here is the big things. Okay, besides the arm here, the other big thing to make it run, 7-inch block bearing that goes on the outside. That's something that I've got the bearing cap, which I'll take a look at in a few minutes, but missing that bearing is pretty bad. And then the two that go in here, which are solid pieces with the 7-inch radius and babbitt on them. So I can make them. It's take a little work, but you know, definitely can do it. Just gonna have to find, you know, some big pieces of steel for it, big chunks. So let me see. I think that's it to make it run. Of course, we're still missing the governor and one dash pot. Luckily, we've got all the bearings and everything for the rod and the crosshead. Missing a nut for the main piston rod, but that's okay. We can deal with that. So I think everything's going to work out okay on it. I mean, we've got enough to work with, and I'm going to walk down here and we're going to look at this. First, we're going to look at the cap for the bearing. All right, folks, so here's our cap. This is our bearing cap, 7-inch. It's not a block bearing, it's a split bearing. It's not really considered as a pillar block. They call it a split bearing. Don't think I could find one. I'm not going to even worry about it. What we're going to try to do is find a piece of thick wall, maybe 8-inch pipe, and we can use the bottom section, and we'll go ahead and build it to use this, build it solid, and I'll show you the bearing that's on the Bates engine to give you an idea. And cylinder head, let me see, crankshaft and everything we've got, it's right here, and it's not in terrible shape. It can clean up, and so far everything's got the same serial number on it. So the bearing cap had the serial number. Everything that I found that was stamped was right. And there's where the flywheel mount is, and you know, just have to do some stuff, the eccentric, clean it up, clean the entire crankshaft up. Outboard bearings out here, of course, and we have the flywheel. We've only got one flywheel bolt, but we can make them. It's not an issue either. So there's studs, are what they are. I'm not even sure where it's at. Here's our two bars. One goes to the eccentric, and one goes into the valve gear. This one goes into valve gear, and that one goes into the eccentric. And then they both pivot in the center, and we've got everything for that. Luckily, everything's still in there and not missing. Unbelievable. So we'll have to make these bolts. They're somewhere around 2 inches. We'll have to have enough of this. I'll turn them out on the lathe and cut the threads and just buy the nuts. So we don't even want to get into this one. We still got parts missing for it too, but I think I found a split bearing I can buy that'll fit this one. They're asking quite a bit for it, but I think I can make them an offer on it and get it at a better price. And we've got one of these to make, where we've got two of them to make for the other one. So it is what it is. And everything else looks like it'll clean up. We've got some pitting in the cylinder. We may or may not go with it. I mean, it's going to run, and I'm not looking to make it run a sawmill or nothing like that. So we may go ahead and just hone it really good and put it back together. May just see how it does. I told Vic, I said, well, it's not going to smoke any worse than it's going to smoke, and it's not going to use oil. So really, as long as it'll run, it really don't matter too much. I don't reckon. I don't think we'll notice the difference, not the way that we're going to be running it. So we'll probably just go ahead and tear it down and start cleaning on it. And like I said, there's a few parts that's going to be made and eccentric stuff for it if I can't find them. We did work on the governor. Let me get this up. I laid it down because I moved the truck and I didn't want it to fall. Okay, so a buddy of mine actually stopped by while we were working, and he just decided that he wanted to work on the governor, so he went to playing with it, Tim Lilly. And this is a 2-ball gardener, and what it does, it works off centrifugal force. When you spin it, these balls come out, and probably hard to see, but what happens is when they come out, it pushes down on this shaft, and when it pushes down on this shaft, it actually cuts the steam pressure off, or not the pressure, but the flow off. And this is a safety. You can pull it and shut it off instantly. So the way that you know it's working is if I spin it hard, you'll see this raise up and then come back down slowly. And that's how that works. See, we know that the balls are coming out and they're working off centrifugal force, and then they slowly come back down. Now if I kept spinning it, the balls would come out and it would slow the steam down, and then slow that down so the balls fall back down, and that's what controls your steam going in. Keeps you from overspeeding. So really, you know, simple setup. And probably has a spring that goes in here, and it might already be in it. Yeah, I think it's already in it. But that would control up and down the pressure that's on this, so it would probably actually controls your governor speed. So we can work with that, but it's nice and free, and that'll be a good governor. Not a problem at all with that. So anyway, we'll start getting this one torn down soon also. I'll show you this block brand we're going to have to build. All right, here you go. You can see how big and bad this is. So I'm not going to say it's going to look like this one, because this is cast, of course, but we're going to do what we can do to build it and make it work and look as close as it'll look. Now this is a lot heavier duty bearing than the one that was on the Hamilton. The Hamilton is a Series B, so it's a lighter weight engine. So we don't have to do quite that much on it, but we're going to try to make it as nice as we can make it. But unless I find one, I mean, we're still looking. 7-inch is going to be a rough one to get a hold of, and I don't know, we'll just keep at it and see. But this one we ran yesterday and ran out really well. We've got our packings figured out on our top. Vic repacked them, put one more round on that one and 2 on this one, and took care of that issue. Really like this engine. This is a great running engine. I've got to get the oilers on it right. I want to put a mechanical lubricator on it, do away with that the displacement lubricator, because I just don't trust them as much as I do a mechanical. I don't know what it is about it, just don't like them too well. So mechanical for sure. Figure out where we're going to mount it, run the line, and start getting this thing cleaned up and painted and some oilers on it and get it like it's supposed to be. And we ran it I think we ran it for about 3.5 hours yesterday, maybe 4 hours total. Let me see. Yeah, every bit of 4 hours. And we cleaned the tubes out on the boiler, and it only took an hour and a half from start to having steam pressure, which was amazing to me. I didn't think we could do it that quick. Hour and a half's not long at all for that big of a boiler, really. So, and that was from dead cold. It wasn't hot from the day before or anything like that. So anyway, there you go. And bought a winch engine. I don't know, it's called a windlass, but it's actually a anchor winch steam engine, 2-cylinder, capstan on one side for a rope, and then the other side's got a chain slots for pulling an anchor chain. So we'll have it here probably in a few weeks, and we'll play with it a little bit. But anyway, just wanted to show you what we got and where we're at. And all right, folks, decided to play with this Keokuk engine. This is a McElroy and Armorage, made in Keokuk, Iowa. So I had put a little thing on YouTube of looking for somebody around Illinois to help me out with these, and one of my subscribers there helped me out, and we got these things picked up and dropped at Quincy, Illinois, and shipped Fastenal to me. And they've been here in the back of the truck for quite a while because I've been so daggone busy. So So finally getting this one out here. That one's stuck pretty hard. This one here wasn't stuck bad at all. So I think what we're going to do is try to get this flywheel I bought machined out to the size to put on it, and maybe put some air to it and just see if it'll run on air. It's kind of tight, so it may not, but we'll see. All right, folks, so we got this flywheel on it. I think it looks good. I had to key it deep because the key in the crank wasn't very deep, so we've got it on there good. Got a lock nut on it, or a set screw or set bolt. It's kind of tight. I don't think it's going to run on air, but we're going to try it. But I was cleaning on it a little bit. See red paint here. You can see pinstripes up top. Clearly see the green pinstripe. So I don't know if this thing was red. I don't think it was red under the green. I wonder if it was gray or something. Or red, black, and then green pinstripes. I really don't know. We're going to keep cleaning on it. But anyway, this one's missing the band right here, the copper band. So we'll have to make one for it. But I'm going to turn this truck around. I'm going to leave it on the tailgate and see if we can get this thing to take off on air. And I don't think it's going to, but we're going to try it anyway. And it's pretty free. It's just not as free as it needs to be to run, really good on air. That's for sure. Air just does not. It's not steam. It's not like steam. It don't have the expansion qualities of steam. So you can't hear the air. So I mean, it is. The rings are seating good. So if it's going to run, it will run. But if it won't, it won't. We'll see. All right, folks. So these engines just over and over and over continue to surprise me. I would have never believed that this would have ran on air, and runs really good on air. Well, I say really good. It's made for, I'm going to change the timing a little bit eventually, but I think it's made for a little heavier flywheel. It don't run as smooth as what it would be if it had a good heavy one on it, but I kind of like that little flywheel, so we're going to run it, and we'll, just change the time. I think it's got a little bit of lap in it to make it run better at a higher RPM, and we need to get it closer to top dead center so it don't it's not advanced as far, because if it gets down on bottom, it will stop, and it needs the momentum of the flywheel to get past it, and we can adjust it so it won't do it as bad as it's doing it anyway. So here you go. It would run a lot better if it was mounted down too. This truck is, the whole back end of the truck's shaking, making noise. So anyway, yeah, McElroy and Armoridge and Keokuk, Iowa. Our understanding is 1881 is the only year that they was making steam engines, but they were out of business by 1892. So this is pre-1892 for sure. And I've contacted the Keokuk Historical Society and talked to them, and they've got one advertisement that has an upright listed as a semi-portable, and this was never an upright. It would have had a curved base to mount on the boiler, and now it could have had a boiler with it because it does have a steam pump or a feed pump with it to feed the boiler. So this was probably, or could have been, one of their semi-portables, but most of this stuff that they made, or most of the things that this company made, was for slaughterhouses, for processing meat and stuff like that. So this could have ran a meat saw or a grinder, anything like that. It's hard to say. Nice little engine, and we'll continue to work on it and see if we can get it even better. But I really like the pinstripes on it. There's pinstripes around the back, and There's green pinstripes here, and then the crankshaft and everything in there was red. And it looks like a lot of it was red, and maybe the rest was black or gray. I don't know. But like I said, we'll figure all that out. But anyway, runs good. Runs really good. All right, we're going to work on that Erie engine a little bit. Vic's going to maybe play with it this coming week, and if he feels up to it. If he don't feel up to it, we won't. But you know, totally on him. It's up to him. So we'll see. All right, I appreciate everybody watching. Till next time. Bye.